the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you have chosen to join me today for episode 174, Beyond Limitations, What Possibilities Await. This topic is near and dear to my heart. I know those of you who have already read my multi-award winning book, The Other Side of Bipolar, know I talk a lot about being able to move past any kind of limitation you have and kind of changing the unchangeable. There are things that we think of in our past that are hurdles, insurmountable hurdles and obstacles that we're always going to have to deal with, that are always going to be part of the picture. And in some ways, we kind of think it's going to be the entire picture of our life story. And it's fascinating to me because so many of us fall prey to this idea, myself included in my past, and being able to move beyond it, move beyond the limitation, and really come through the other side of it is something that's accessible to all of us. The problem, quote unquote, is that a lot of us don't really know how to go about doing that. We spend so much of our time, so much of our resources, our energy, our awareness, our focus, our attention, money, everything going to fixing a problem, going to trying to overcome the problem, and trying to change it, trying to wrestle with it in some way that we miss out on the possibilities to make the shift, to make the transformation in a way that's actually sustainable and does create lasting change. It's kind of a fascinating thing. I was looking at this topic, being able to change the unchangeable and move beyond the limitations. And of course, I've written this whole book about it. And it wasn't until I got interviewed by a doctor who was looking at holistic and more wellness-based mental care, contacted me and said, how was it that you actually, number one, got off medication, and number two, got to the point where the doctors actually overturned your diagnosis? And it made me think for a little bit because for me, having lived the experience, you lose sight sometimes of the small shifts and changes that you've taken along the path. For me, what really popped up was the fact that number one, I didn't fight it. I didn't try to change it. I wasn't actually trying to utilize my time, my resources, my energy into fixing the problem. There was almost this allowance of it being there and this relaxing into, okay, cool, if this is the way things are, how can I actually move my life forward in a way that brings more lightness, brings more space, and brings more of a sense of myself, of my own fulfillment along my life path, and just made me feel more confident in my own skin. It was really that path that led to changing the other path. But how many of us actually do that? Most of us have an issue with our body. We have a financial situation. We've got a job that we hate. We've got family upset and drama. Or we have kind of a mental, emotional, inner working issue that we think we have to fight against. We think we have to change in some way. And it seems kind of counterintuitive to relax into it and to allow it to be. Allow it just to be what it is without trying to sugarcoat it, without trying to fix and finagle with it, just letting it be. It feels so counterintuitive that most of us don't choose that path. What I'm inviting with this episode is more of a spacious quality that will actually allow you to change the unchangeable and to move beyond any limitation that you have. It takes that beat of softness, that relaxing, and that allowance of it that would actually allow it to change in the long run. So just get the thing that you are struggling with currently. Again, whether that is a money thing, a body thing, a mental, emotional thing, a relationship thing, a family thing. And I invite you to dig a little bit deeper with this. What is actually the thing that not only may be more present in your awareness right now, but the thing that feels like it's a forever issue. Feel like it's a defining moment or a defining hurdle, or one that no matter what you do is never, ever, ever going to change completely. Get that thing, and right now, right here, just allow yourself to have more allowance for it. If you weren't trying to fix it, if you weren't trying to change it, if you didn't have to push at it all the time, if you didn't have to try to figure it out, but if you could allow that thing just to be, loosen your hold, loosen your grip, what space actually enters your body and your mind? Fighting to change things never actually works. It actually feeds the beast. It feeds whatever it is you're struggling with. Whenever you put your attention on something, that thing grows. That's just the way we work energetically. That is just kind of cognitively how we work. Whatever your mind goes, that's the reality that you create. Whatever your point of view is, that's the reality that gets created. So when you spend most of your time with a hard focus on fixing a problem, you spend most of your energy trying to push that problem and that limitation to change. And you really have the point of view that, oh my goodness, this thing has to change. Underneath all of that, kind of going, oh, I don't think it ever will. That's why you're pushing at it with such a veracity. Whenever you have that, again, you feed the beast, you make it bigger. You allow it to take up more of your space, use up more of your resources, and actually take the creative element out of the picture. Allow yourself just to get soft with whatever that thing is. Have more allowance for it. And think for yourself, ask the question, if this wasn't a problem, if this wasn't something I've defined as the hurdle to overcome, what choice do I have to make myself feel better in this moment? What choices are available to you that would actually allow you to reclaim a sense of space, have a sense of peace and possibility? Now, some of that may be more of an energetic thing, maybe more of an emotive quality, maybe more of a sense of relaxation. Some of it, you may ask that question and you may actually get practical things. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had in a relationship. Maybe there is a ground that needs to be stood if you're dealing with a deeper family issue. Maybe there's a practicality thing that needs to really be looked at with brutal honesty with a money or a business situation. And perhaps it's a sense of honesty with yourself of what's creating the upset to begin with. No matter what it is, could you actually allow that to be present and for you to actually follow the energy with that? If you again are shifting your focus, and that's all we're talking about today, we're changing a mindset, we're changing a perspective, we're shifting the focus off the problem to move beyond that problem or that limitation into a sense of peace and possibility. It's not that you acquiesce to the limitation. It doesn't mean you give up and settle. Absolutely not. It just means you take the fight out of it. You take the struggle away and you stop allowing your unconsciousness to leak and soak up all of your resources and kind of shift it away from the problem into possibility. Where can you go from here? And actually allowing that to be in your space more so than trying to fix the limitation, what would be possible here? It's kind of fascinating. A lot of us think that if we're going to create change, if we're going to fix a limitation or overcome it, or even just change our life where we're heading in a certain direction and we've gone down a path a little bit and you go, oh, wait a second, this isn't where I want to go. We think that we have to make a big choice to be able to shift that. We think we need to solve a problem or be able to change a limitation from start to finish. It's the thing, if you're having a money issue, you don't look at like, cool, I can save $5 today. You think, oh my goodness, cool, I need to like win the lottery and have millions of dollars show up. What if it's actually not that? What if there are small incremental choices you could be making on a daily basis that lead your life in a whole new direction? One of my favorite examples of this or analogies to use is if you have a huge ship and you are steering that like ocean liner in one direction with a lot of your resources going towards that. A lot of momentum is built behind that. A lot of energy is already in it. Taking that ship, that ocean liner, and changing it 90 degrees, really hard to do in that moment. That takes a lot of effort. But if you take that ocean liner and you change it 10 degrees to the right, and the next day you go 10 degrees more, and the next day you go 10 degrees more and 10 degrees more, and you keep making choices that are incrementally changing your trajectory. Before you know it, you'll be going in a whole new direction with ease and with a sense of space. Where have you really concluded that you have to change whatever limitation you're dealing with in a blink of an eye? And yes, magic is possible to do that, but a lot of that is more of a mindset or a perspective shift. Really, when you're looking at changing your life and changing how things are showing up, it's the incremental daily choices you can be making to hold yourself in softness, to have more allowance with what you're struggling with, to be more peaceful and receptive to your body if your body's acting up, to be more conscious and aware with your money choices, to get real with it, to start listening more to your business, to holding your ground a little bit more in relationships, or finally saying no to certain relationships that are draining you and pulling you out of the possibilities. As I said, regardless of where you are being pulled with this conversation, and you may be getting pulled in a couple of different areas depending on what you're looking at creating, where is it that you can actually start applying this different energy to your life right now? One of allowance, one of softness and receiving. And then into that space, adding in the possibility, adding in that question of what choices are available today to move my life in a whole different direction. And again, keeping in mind, what if it isn't a 90-degree turn that's required right now? What 10 degrees of incremental change can you make on a daily basis that will change the trajectory of where you have been and where you're going? It's fascinating to me to look at how many people get stuck spending their life trying to fix a limitation or battle against it. Really and truly, I know this feels counterintuitive to relax and to allow and to melt a little bit into it. It can be a little bit intense, but if you allow yourself that space, that ability to start changing and choosing something different will actually create sustainable and easeful change in a way that nothing else could. This is a secret to success and one that is rarely talked about. I hope that you can allow it to sink in and perhaps listen to this episode a few times, playing with these different energies. If there are multiple areas in your life that you would like to shift and change, what would it take to actually allow yourself to go through this process with each of them? And also to allow the change in one area to bleed over into the other. This is the magic of change, and this is the magic of working energetically and spaciously too. It's fascinating to be able to change one area of your life, like finally taking a stand in a relationship and saying no to what isn't serving you. And how all of that sudden, that actually changes your perspective with money. All of a sudden, you're not willing to self-debt on you, or live outside your means, or create smaller than you're capable of. And what then that creates for your body, being juicy and yummy and healthy and vital. And what that can ripple into with your mental and emotional space, your consciousness and your ability to actually be you in every moment. It's kind of a fascinating thing to see how all of this plays together. We don't create in a silo. We're not isolatory by ourselves, and our lives don't function that way either. Change, incremental, delicious, spacious, sustainable change beyond limitations in one area will actually have a ripple effect throughout your life if you're willing to receive it and willing to spend time to actually ask these questions and catch yourself when you're going into not space, when you're going into push, when you're going into fight, when you're going into contraction, and when you're allowing yourself to be taken off the path of where you desire to go. This is a big topic. It is one, again, that we have so many different tools and possibilities for. I'm holding a free call. It's going to be a live Q&A call with me on October 3rd to celebrate the third anniversary of my beautiful book, The Other Side of Bipolar, being released into the world. The call is called The Other Side of Limitation. And we're going to be talking about just this, more tools, more practicalities around this topic, more of this delicious space, and the ability for you all to ask questions and get facilitated in real time. So I will put the link to join that down below in the show write-up. I would love to have you join the conversation and see what we can all create for each other when we're all choosing out of limitation, beyond limitation, and into the field of spacious peace and possibilities. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.